and welcome back to These Blind Eyes 6580. First off, if you would, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, tell everybody about it, because obviously it's the best YouTube channel ever. I mean, come on, I'm wearing a cowboy hat, wearing sunglasses, and smoking a cheap cigar that's filtered cigar. In case you're wondering about the hat and sunglasses, I got a bright light on because I've been told some of my videos have been more on the darker side. My eyes are, the one thing I can see is light, and unfortunately it hurts my eyes. So, hat and sunglasses to keep them out. Questions, comments, concerns, arguments. None of the above will be addressed in the comments by me. Say what you want, don't care. Email me. Same email address as my podcast, Little MB. The email address is littleMB6580@gmail.com. That's LITTLE, M as in Mike, B as in Bravo, 6580@gmail.com. And for those of a religious nature, I also have a religious podcast called Seeking God with Blind Eyes. And so you're probably wondering, since I brought my YouTube channel back and have done fitness videos and done cooking videos, why are you addressing something in the world of finance, and what do you know about it? I do have a degree in economics. Believe it or not, I do. And then you're probably saying, well, guess what? There's people in finance and economics that are still promoting cryptocurrency. A, they're idiots, or B, they're just heavily invested in it, and they know the way to get it to increase in cost or value so they can get their money back, make money, whatever, and get out, is by talking it up so other people invest. If I sit here and tell you, you know what, crypto's a great idea. You know, I invested $100 in it, but now it's worth $20. I can sit here and say, you know what, it sucks. It's a scam. It's crap. Don't do it. Well, then you're not going to do it. I lost 80% of my investment. You ain't going to do it. Then guess what? My $20 I got left is going to go to nothing. But if I sit and say, hey, it's a great idea, it's a long-term investment, you should really consider putting something into it. You know, hey, trust me, I've got a degree in economics. So then you're going to buy some crypto, it's going to increase in value. And as soon as I think it's peaked or I got my money back or whatever, I'm going to dump it and get out of it. That's what it is, plain and simple, because crypto literally does not exist. Think about it. Fiat currency. If I say anything you don't understand, don't hesitate to email me and ask. I'll put it into layman terms, you know, but I, might slip up. So fiat currency, what is that? That is your paper money. That is your $1 bill and $100 bill. That's fiat currency, the US dollar or euros, whatever it may be. So, crypto don't have anything. Crypto's the equivalent of me sitting here in my basement and saying, I'm going to create a currency. It's not going to be centralized. It'll be decentralized. The government won't be able to touch it. And what I'm going to do for you is I'm only going to create $1 trillion of this money. There'll never be any more. So come buy it from me. It's going to increase in value. Well, first off, obviously you're not going to do that because it's stupid. Somebody else did that with Bitcoin, and the difference is they didn't have to spend any money on paper and ink to print the money. You know, it's all digital. Anything happens to the grid, you've lost it. Anything happens to your hard drive or blockchain wallet, you've lost it. I mean, it's asinine. It's literally imaginary money. Do you know the overwhelming majority? I mean, I don't even know where you can spend it. I know there's places that are like, hey, we accept Bitcoin, like Cash App or something. You can send Bitcoin to people or accept it. I'll tell you what, send me your Bitcoin through Cash App. I'll take it. But it's it literally does not exist. It is imaginary. The only people that are really benefiting from it are criminals on the dark web. Because because of the fact it is decentralized, no government's involved with it. It's not traceable like US currency is. Now, if you think they still can't track it, you're kidding yourself. We had a perfect example of just how decentralized and how untouchable Bitcoin is from Canada when the truckers were striking and people were trying to donate Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff to help these truckers who did not want to be vaccinated. Their government locked up all their shit. They locked up their Bitcoin, they locked up their fiat currency, they seized it all. So guess what? It's not untouchable. Nothing is untouchable by the government when it comes down to it. But you're literally giving somebody $100 of your hard-earned money for something that's digital that says, congratulations, you have a Bitcoin, or whatever it says. It doesn't matter. You know, I had a young woman that I was friends with on Facebook. She blocked me pretty quick. We were just talking in general. Just, hey, nice to get to know you, nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. She was from Chicago, Illinois. We were relatively close to each other, whatever. Through general conversation, she found out I have a degree in economics. So she's like, oh, what do you think of Bitcoin? You invested? And I was like, first off, I don't have money to invest. Second off, if I had money to invest, I would invest in land or stock market, something. I would not invest in Bitcoin. And so I explained to her, it actually doesn't exist. All these things can happen and you'll lose everything. If you got your money in the bank, I think now the FDIC limits $250,000. That's why I don't understand the run on the banks, because if you got 250 grand in the bank and the bank fails, the government will pay you 250. They'll give you your money back. All right. So yeah, it's basically a stock for a company that makes nothing. That's what it is. Because it's like any other stock for any other company. The more people who want it, the more people who are trying to buy in, the higher each share goes. The more people that start dumping it, the more the value is going to go down until it's nothing. Once again, criminals are the ones benefiting. Because I can take $1,000 US dollars, buy some Bitcoin, go to the dark web, give them Bitcoin, to pay for the drugs they're going to ship to my house, which actually does happen. That's what the dark web's for, which was created by our Navy. Kind of funny. And they can take that Bitcoin and turn around and exchange it for their own currency. So it just makes it so much easier to do illegal business online. That's what it does. But this AP article that I just read today, just came out today. Carmona is the last name, not attempting the first name. Carmona says that it is used to target minorities, to scam them. I don't know about the minority thing. According to Carmona, from what I read, there was multiple people in this, but it was in the vicinity of Carmona. Essentially, minorities such as black folks and Hispanics don't have the same ability to pursue wealth in the traditional avenues, such as, bank loans, stock market, things of that nature. I'm not going to say nobody targets minorities for this reason, but I think saying minorities is overlooking the truth. People that are investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, they're wanting to get rich quick, is what it amounts to. But it's desperation, people. The same people that are poor that are investing in cryptocurrency are the same people who are willing to put their last dollar on a lotto ticket. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I will put my last dollar on a lotto ticket before I put it in a Bitcoin or anything else. I feel more comfortable. And do you know why I feel more comfortable? One of the most basic reasons? I think it's $2 a ticket now. But I hand the person at the Casey's my $2 and say, give me a Powerball. They actually hand me a piece of paper with my number on it. You ain't getting handed crap when you're buying your Bitcoin or whatever crypto you're in. So it's, you're literally buying nothing. Grid crashes, you're screwed. You lose your hard drive, you're screwed. It's not FDIC insured like your savings account. So, it's decentralized. The government ain't got to say. Yeah, and the government's not going to help you out when you get screwed. Isn't that the way? People always get these big, great ideas that's going to make them rich or help them out in one way or another. So they're all in. They lose everything, and then they want somebody to bail them out. It's the way it goes. And I mean, like I said, banks are insured. Your money's insured. Now, this is the thing that amazes me the most. Since SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank, collapsed, and Signature Bank collapsed, since they failed, went bankrupt, people have taken this as a sign that you cannot trust fiat currency. You can't trust our paper money. You cannot trust the US dollar. So they are buying crypto. They're buying more crypto. It's currently going up. The funny thing is Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank failed because they were heavily invested in cryptocurrencies. And with all the failings been going on with what's Sam Bankman-Fried's company, that FBX or whatever, I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter. Crypto's just been getting hammered ever since they found out that exchange, and that wasn't a crypto company, it was just an exchange where you could exchange your money for crypto. That was flat out fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried, plain and simple, was stealing the money. He invested heavily, like donating money to Republicans and Democrats and stuff like that, hoping that if he got caught, they'd bail him out. They're not going to do that. But whatever, I don't want to talk about the exchange. That ain't important. The fact is crypto has been tanking. That is why these banks failed. Because crypto was failing. And somehow it's getting twisted around to where it's because the US dollar ain't worth anything. What it amounts to is those banks should not be bailed out or anything. They should fail. And this is where it all started. It started with the original bailout by Obama and his administration. And I'm not blaming Obama because it's Obama and he's a Democrat. I truly believe that John McCain would have done the same thing if he would have won in 2008. But in 1999, 2000, Clinton goes to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They are where all mortgages go through them before they go to all these banks, like the Lehman Brothers and stuff like that. And I don't know what the percentage was, but before he went to them, there was a certain percentage of their mortgages that were to be subprime mortgages. And it was to make it where poor people had an opportunity to buy and own their own home. And so Clinton and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they are kind of like the post office. They're not owned and regulated by the federal government, but it's the federal government. That's why Clinton was able to go to him and dictate. What did he dictate? 51% of all your mortgages from here on out will be subprime mortgages. We're going to give poor folk the ability to buy their own home. That's what we's going to do. And poor folk got even poorer because of this. Because that idiot did that, and then the next idiot, Bush, number 2, didn't put a stop to it. And then finally, somebody found out that all these mortgages were worthless. Everybody was defaulting. Everybody was declaring bankruptcy because they couldn't keep up. You know, that's what happened. And so Obama comes in and says, we're going to bail them out. We're going to bail them out, the auto industry out. And guess what, folks? That is not the free market. In the free market, there are no bailouts. In the free market, companies are allowed to fail. And yes, it would have hurt us much worse than what it did. And it hurt us when the banks failed. And Obama bailed them out. It still hurt pretty bad. And it would have hurt a lot worse if he'd have let them fail. However, if he would have let them fail and said, no, you guys are idiots. You were investing in worthless mortgages. What if you would have just said, what were you thinking? And you want me to use taxpayer dollars to bail you out? No. If you'd have said no, this wouldn't have happened. What Obama did was declare to people, to these banks and investors, go ahead and act like morons, because A, you're going to get rich, or B, we will bail you out when you fail. And so SVB and Signature were heavily invested in crypto, and guess what? Crypto tanked, these banks failed, and now Biden's bailing them out. This would not have happened if they would have been allowed to fail back in 2008 and 9. I mean, it didn't take long. I mean, I've talked about it before, I think, on my podcast, but in 2008, spring of 2008, I had an interview for an internship with Caterpillar, and my foot was in the door jack. The guy that I interviewed with, it was for logistics, and he was interested in people that could do statistics. And so at the time, never had a real job before, so my resume is consisting of my education, my classes that, applied to the job I'm applying for. And he says, I see you got a 99.5% on your statistics project. What was the half a percentage point taken off for? And I said, I forgot to put page numbers on the paper I turned in with it. And he laughed and he's like, so you're good at statistics? And I said, I literally need to get 56% on my final to get an A for the course. I was acing the class essentially. This was my second level statistics. And he said, could you do statistics for, say, 3 to 5 years? I said, sir, I could do statistics for the rest of my life. Honestly, I love statistics. And he said, well, I want you to know that there will be a second round of interviews. It's required. We have to do it. We're going through the university here, and that's part of the deal. But I'm telling you right now, you're the guy I want. And I was like, are you serious? Because I was concerned about my eyesight. The reason I went back to school is I could never get a job anywhere because I was blind. And he said, yeah. He said, from what I see, as far as like your knowledge of statistics, just from our conversation in here, he's like, I could tell you lit up when I started talking about statistics. I've never seen anybody do that. And he's like, you're the guy I want. So just know, even though you're going to see the announcement for the second round of interviews, you're my guy. And I was like, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. 2 days later, they had a hiring freeze. It was that quick, And it was because, and I know this sounds like I'm wandering away from the topic. I'm bringing it back around. It's for a reason that I'm talking about this. George W. Bush comes out and on national television holds a press conference and says, we are in trouble. Following day, every business teacher I had, every econ teacher I had, the ones I'd had before, the ones I asked them all. I talked to them about it, wanted their take. And they're like, oh, I dumped every stock I owned. I sold it. And it's because it's about faith. If your faith in something is strong, if the nation's faith in the stock market's strong, the value's going to keep going up. If people lose that faith, it's going to crumble, it's going to crash, it's going to go away. And when you have the leader of our nation saying we are in trouble, nobody's going to have faith in our stock market at that point in time. So they got out while they could. Then as soon as they thought the stock market hit rock bottom, they bought right back in. They made a good chunk of change because of this, because they paid attention. Now, why do I bring this up? It's because crypto's no different. And you're like, well, you say you got a degree in econ and you're against it, against cryptocurrency. You say it's worthless, but there's a lot of people in finance and econ that are talking about crypto being great. It's because they're invested in it. And it's because they want the value to go back up. A currency, even though you can speculate in currency and make money, that's not what currency is for. It's for purchasing. It's for purchasing goods and services. It's not for sitting on and making money. That's not what it's designed for, but that's what cryptocurrency is. That's what it was designed for. It's what it's become. So these people are invested in it, and today, they've lost their ass, plain and simple. They've lost their ass. So if I got $100 worth of crypto, now it's worth $20, am I going to say, don't do it? It was a big mistake. I've lost 80% of my investment. No, I'm not going to say that if I'm smart. Because then nobody's going to want to invest in it. People are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to sell what I got. Then my $20 is going to be worth zero. But if I can convince you to go in and buy, if I can convince everybody, you know what? Just think long term, folks. Long term. Then there's a chance I'm going to get my money back. And then I'm going to get out. Because I know it's a joke. You're buying money that doesn't exist. I just don't get it. When I first heard about it, I was like, cryptocurrency, what, electronic money? Don't we already have that? Isn't that debit cards and all that other kind of stuff? Isn't everything digital now to the point most people don't even have a dollar bill in their pocket? I went and bought a couple of these cheap cigars up at the gas station the other day and handed the woman a $10 bill. And she stood there for a second before she freaking opened the register and got me my change. Because she's so used to people just scan the card, just scan the card, just scan the card. We already have electronic currency, so don't sit there and give me that it's easier to deal with than fiat currency. We already got that. Don't give me the decentralized, because that's part of the problem, is the fact that it's decentralized. There's no regulations. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say we should have decentralized currency, oh, but the government needs to get involved and create some laws and regulations. You're wanting decentralized currency so you can say F off to the government, but then you want them to bail you out. And I mean, the sheer ignorance of people with this, with these banks failing, they failed because they were invested in this very thing. And now you lost your faith in the fiat currency, the US dollar. So you're buying more cryptocurrency. That does not make sense. Stop and think about this shit logically. It does not make sense. I really don't get it. I really, truly do not understand this. I mean, if you're a criminal, by all means, makes it easier. Makes it easier to do your business. But the fact is this idea, there's 1 trillion units and we're never gonna create more. So it's asinine. Should we have been printing as much money as what we've been printing over the past 20 years? Obviously not. We have inflation that's through the roof. And I should probably do a video on that, because inflation isn't just an increase in price per se. I noticed inflation back at the time of Obama's bailout, when I realized that even though the can of tuna still cost me 75 cents at the time, it was no longer 2.5 servings, it was down to 2 servings per can. That's still inflation. It's just hidden a little bit better. Instead of selling it for $1, they kept it at 75 cents and just made the can a little smaller. Have you seen these Easter Reese's peanut butter egg things? I mean, they're maybe 1/3 of the size of what they used to be. Oh, they haven't went up in price. Haven't they? I mean, but the thing is, at times you have to print more money. Understandably, some of the reason why you have to print fiat money, more of it, is because you lose some of it. Dollar bills get lost. You could lose it in a house fire, whatever. You're going to lose it at some point. Some of it needs to be replaced. When it gets in bad enough shape, I don't know how many people know this, but a lot of the money that we print goes to banks to replace old currency, then the old currency is taken and destroyed. That's almost a daily thing. I'm sure it's decreased because so many people are using their debit cards these days, but point is our population is growing. If we have 100 million people and there's $1 trillion that exists, well, we ain't printing any more money. Well, then what's going to happen when you have 200 million people? I mean, do you see what I'm saying with that? The idea that it's a fixed amount, it's only to provide an illusion of supply and demand. Because people are going to want their share, they're going to want their cut, and it's going to cause the value to go up. It's an illusion, it's a game, it's a scam from the beginning. It's not going to take over, folks. I'm sorry. It's not. Well, what do? Here's the thing. It used to be in this country, parents would save money. They'd save their money. They would try to build an SNEG. Oh, Lord. They would try to build a nest egg for their retirement, and so they would have something to leave their children to try to help make them better off in their life. And then they would do the same thing. That's the way it used to be in this country. They didn't talk about wanting this world to be a better place for their grandkids. They tried to prepare to make it a better world for their grandkids. Now people talk about, I want this world to be better for my kids and grandkids. But they're not saving their money. They're doing these fly by night schemes trying to get rich overnight because they want to be better off. When it comes down to it, they don't really give two shits about their kids being better off unless they are better off themselves. That's what it amounts to. You know, I know a lot of people, and it's just kind of funny watching the differences. Watching the differences, because I know people that like scrimp and save, and there's an old boy I'm friends with, and I absolutely love him to death. Like, he goes hard. He goes hard on Facebook, but it's hilarious because I've seen people give him crap because of all the trips he's taken. Like all the vacations that he goes on and stuff like that. And they're like, you're rich, you own your own business, you do this, you do that. And they don't pay attention to the fact that this guy is saving every dime for it. Instead of ordering pizza, instead of going out and having fancy dinners when he's saving for his trips, he's heating up a can of baked beans for his dinner. And for him, it's worth it. The trade-off is worth it. Because him eating $1 can of beans just saved him $20 to $30 on a pizza. And that's going in his vacation fund. But people don't want to pay attention to that. People want to order that pizza. They want to go out and have a fine dinner. They want to be able to do it all. And then get upset when they can't. Everybody wants to live like a prince on a ditch digger salary. And it don't work that way. You know? And like I said, I'm talking about a lot of different stuff. And it seems like I'm talking about more other things in crypto, but it all comes back to crypto because crypto is worthless. Too many of them have failed. And that should tell you something too. Bitcoin had some success when it started. It was slow moving, but you know, I forget what it cost originally. I mean, let's just say it cost $1 originally to get one Bitcoin. It got up over $60,000 per Bitcoin. Not worth that now, obviously, but and it hasn't collapsed. And if you got in at $1, you could still make a killing if you sold now, plain and simple. But the fact that once they started having success, other people were like, well, I can create a Bitcoin too. Do you understand like what I'm saying with that? Like, if you're going to have a decentralized currency that works and lasts, you kind of just need one. Do you know what all these cryptocurrencies are like? They're like what our country was before it had a Federal Reserve, before it had a national bank. Any bank could create its own money. Any bank could. Any state could. And they did. There were issues with people from Alabama going to Mississippi wanting to buy a bushel of corn. In Alabama, it would cost $3. I'm making numbers up. I'm just saying, though. In Mississippi, it'd be like, yeah, $3 Alabama dollars, but, you know, our money is worth more. You're going to have to give us 5 of those Alabama dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were so many different currencies, nobody knew what anything was worth. Do you know what makes currency actually valuable? Is when it's backed by something. It can be gold, silver, resources, whatever. there's actually conspiracy theories going on, and they've been going on, but as far as Libya and Iraq, the reason that we went in and overthrew Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi was due to the fact they wouldn't get onto the international system. They were still backing their nation's fiat currency with their natural resources, with gold, with oil, and stuff like that. And when you go back and look at what their dollars were worth, they were worth quite a bit of money because they were actually backed by something. Our currency is backed by faith. No more, no less. You know, and that's exactly what Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies are based on, is faith. Do you really have faith that it's going to be worth anything? I don't. I mean, I think I've made that pretty obvious. You're literally investing in nothing, people. Nothing. You're taking that hard-earned dollar and giving it to somebody for nothing. Just because a handful of people have gotten rich, and that's what it amounts to in the grand scheme of things, is a handful of people. Yeah, if you would have got in and out at the right time, you could have been one of those people. But guess what? People are greedy. $60,000 wasn't enough. When it hits $100,000, that's when I'll get out. You know, it's always something, you know, and then it tanks and you've lost everything. I mean, if you invest in land, if I buy a piece of land for $100,000 and then something happens to where the value of the land decreases to $50,000, obviously I can't sell that land and get my money back at that point in time, but guess what? I still have the land. Your car depreciates in value, but you still got the car. If crypto decreases in value, all you have is less money. I mean, that's it. I mean, you are literally buying nothing. I can just keep going on and on and on, which most people probably haven't listened this far, but I'll go ahead and quit now if I haven't made the point. Once again, like I said, I have a degree in economics, and this is something that, you know, I have felt from day one. And you could say, well, you only got an undergrad. Well, this is the way the degrees were explained to me in regard to economics and things of that nature by my economic advisor. Because I was concerned originally with going straight in for my Master's of Science in Applied Economics, because I was like, you know, I've had some issues with all the graphs and stuff like that, and the doc told me, he's like, you know, you're obviously going to have to deal with graphs and stuff like that, but there's far fewer when you're getting your master's. The way he explained it is when you're getting your undergrad in economics, you're learning all the theories and what they mean and how they operate, how things generally work. The Master's of Science in Applied Economics is learning all the mathematics behind all of the formulas to calculate these things. He said that's, you know, the MS is the math. And then if you go on to a PhD, you're specializing in one specific area of economics, like Giffen goods or whatever, you know. So my brother has a Master's of Science in Applied Economics, and I was talking to him about it, and I approached it like I didn't have a thought on it or didn't have any idea or anything. That's how I approached it with him. And he flat out laughed at me and was like, dude, you can't be serious. And I was like, well, I am, you know, I was thinking about it. You know, there's this new crypto that's looking promising. He's like, dude, he's like, I'll tell you what, just give me the money. He's like, I can at least buy some beer and get drunk off of it. If you're going to throw your money away, give it to me. It's a scam, people. Get out while you can, while you can still get something left if you can. Quit investing in it. I'll explain it in one last thing. In economics, there's something called gain-loss theory. And what this amounts to is somebody comes to you with a business plan and say, hey, I got this great idea for a great product, great business, all this stuff. Would you invest? 10 grand will get you in. You look over the business plan and stuff, the industry analysis and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, you know what, this don't sound like a bad idea. You know, it's worth the risk. I'll give you 10 grand. You know, I'll buy in. A year goes by, and guy comes back to you and it's like, hey, we had a hiccup. You know, things aren't looking good now, but we can turn this around, but we need more investment. I need another 5 grand from all my investors. And you're like, well, shit, I don't want to lose my 10 grand. Here you go. Here's 5 grand. Year goes by, they come back. It's like, we were almost there. You wouldn't believe what happened, but man, another 5 grand. You're like, well, crap, now I'm into it for 15 grand. All right, here's 5 grand. Before you know it, the company doesn't exist anymore and you're out 20 grand or however much. The point is gain-loss theory. The issue people have is once they invest something into a company or, say, crypto, you invested 10 grand into it and you're losing your ass. It's like, well, instead of just pulling out and salvaging what you have left, you keep hanging on. Do you understand that theory there, the gain-loss theory? You're afraid of losing, so you keep putting more into it, just hoping for a turnaround. Hoping it's just a wing and a prayer. That's all it is, folks. That's all it is. Wing and a prayer. So I'll leave it at that. Like I said, questions, comments, concerns, same as the podcast, Little MB. It's littlemb6580@gmail.com. Anybody who's listened this far, thanks. I know I wander through the weeds, as my buddy TK likes to say, but, you know, I feel like you just got to keep giving examples, like different ways of explaining things to try to get people to understand and see things for what they are. So, LITTLE, M as in Mike, B as in Bravo, 6580@gmail.com. Until next time, get out of crypto and y'all take care.